Mail-in ballots were the focus of the U.S. Supreme Court this week as the country's highest court heard arguments about whether states should be allowed to count mail-in ballots that arrive after Election Day. With all ballots cast in Oregon coming through the mail, our state's election officials are closely watching this case. Fox 12's Spencer Schott explains what this ruling could mean for Oregon voters.
Currently, there are only 14 states in the country that allow ballots to be counted if they come in after Election Day, as long as they're postmarked before Election Day. But here in Oregon, those ballots can only be counted up to 7 days after. But we're talking about an extremely small percentage of ballots that are getting a large amount of national attention. Marion County's election clerk Bill Burgess says his office really relies on the USPS for elections.
Do a lot of mailing out of this place. We just mailed 3,000 envelopes to people.
He says Oregon's 7-day grace period is essential for secure elections, especially because of funding cuts to USPS.
It really helps voters, especially now that the Postal Service has more delays with their trucks. They're not running as many trucks and services.
So when he learned the Supreme Court was hearing arguments about the legality of grace periods, he was concerned, to say the least.
It's very concerning to me because it makes it harder for some of our voters to vote.
Oregon has had a 7-day grace period since 2022, but the Secretary of State, Tobias Reed, says his team is already updating their guidelines for voters no matter how the Supreme Court rules. He says voters should put their ballots in the mail at least 7 days before Election Day because of changes to USPS's regional transportation operations. In a statement, he said, "Our democracy is stronger when more citizens' voices are heard. Legal votes cast on time should be counted. No citizen should lose their right to vote because of delays at the post office." Local election officials say while the grace periods are essential to ensure all votes are counted, in multiple Oregon counties those votes make up less than 1% of all ballots cast. In Multnomah County, of the more than 400,000 ballots, only 3,000 came in after Election Day. Then in Washington and Marion County, even fewer ballots were received during that grace period.
The goal of making sure that everybody who's eligible to vote, that wants to vote, gets a chance to vote and that their ballot counts, because we believe in a government run by its citizens.
The Supreme Court said they will make their final ruling on this case in June. And if they do rule against the grace periods, that only gives election officials a few months to let voters know about these new deadlines. Secretary Reed says they are prepared and have hired more communication staff to get the word out there. Reporting live in studio, Spencer Schott, Fox 12 Oregon.